John today. No John today. No John today? You can hear me say that, right?
I can hear you. Just turned down a little bit.
I was kind of confused. I was like, did I hear my voice? What's going on here?
Charm,
I was like, no John today.
No
but
John
I was like,
today.
I'm not sure if I heard that through my headphones or not. Anyway, let's start over again. Brian, no John today. He is at a concert. He's gone for the next, what are you, 10 days or so? 10 days, yeah. So he's gone, and in his stead will be you and I doing Johnny Radio's Happy. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
We got all of his regular guests. I'm really excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun here. And furthermore, we got a big show today.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, Brian, you and I have been planning this stuff for
years.
No. That's overstating it a bit, I think. But at least for a couple days, we were like, oh, man, this is going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
It's John's show. We love gambling on John's show, so this is the perfect opportunity. Baseball's going on. You and I have had a good year betting on baseball, too. So we could really take this opportunity to handicap these baseball games. They're far more manageable because there's only 4 wild cards before the first round starts. And then what happened, Bryant?
None of the 4 games went to a third game.
None of the games went
series,
to another one.
Yeah.
Truthfully, I want to hear you real quick because truth be told, I have to stall for a minute while I pull up the things that were necessary because there's a quick change going on here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much like the halftime show quick change where the man and the woman, like she changes dresses really fast.
Yeah.
You know, that's just computers. Her dress is made of a computer.
Really?
And so, like, it has little, like, strings inside, and it pulls it up. You know what I'm talking about, quick change? You have no idea what I'm talking about.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, that's all right either. I'm sure someone out there does. Everybody quick change uses computers in the woman's dress. That's how it's done. Sorry to spoil the magic trick. Anyway.
The magic trick where they pull
the curtain up and her dress changes. But it happens, like, multiple times over the course of a show.
I thought she was just wearing dresses underneath, and she just, like, took one off and...
You understand how fabric works? Like, at a certain point, she would look like a big fat person.
Huh. I guess I didn't think it all the way through.
Speaking of fat people, we got Don LaGreca sound to get to in a minute, but I want to finish what we're talking about with the baseball games last night first. I was incensed when they took Jose Barrios out.
Way too early.
In the third inning, he had 5 Ks. He'd given up 3 hits. He just walked 1 batter, and they took him out of the game.
Crazy.
Unbelievable. And then, furthermore, it's a 0-0 ball game later that inning. The pitcher that came in for him, don't even know his name, don't want to know his name, that guy, what a clown, literally gives up, 3 runs in that inning? Maybe it was just 2. It might have just been 1, honestly. But he gave up a run.
It was something.
And then they started scoring.
Really?
What a joke. The guy struck out 5 in 3 innings. What more do you want from him? Absolutely ridiculous decision by the Blue Jays. Anyway, other games finished last night. All of them did, Brian. Did you watch any of them and tell me what you thought?
Yeah, no, I watched pretty much every game yesterday, or at least some of every game yesterday. Look, let me tell you something, Jay. What a disappointment the Tampa Bay Rays are as an organization, as a fan base, and as a team. I mean, you start the season so strong, so fast. I mean, everybody was talking about this historic start of the season, and then you get swept in the wild card. And not just swept. I mean, they were absolutely dominated yesterday, 7-1. In that first game, the story of the day was errors. There were 4 errors committed by Tampa Bay, and really all 4 of those errors led to the 4 runs that that Texas scored to win that first game. It was just Texas out hitting them. I mean, 12 hits for Texas. So I was impressed with Texas, disappointed with the Rays. I'm really impressed with the D-backs. I've been saying for a couple of weeks now that, like, this is a young team, but they're really not super young. I mean, they've made some moves in the last year, and they've got a good mixture of young, potential stars in Corbin Carroll and veteran guys that kind of have been here, done that. And so I was surprised with what they did against Milwaukee. Shouldn't say I was too surprised, though, because, Milwaukee, the only reason they're there is the division they play in. But no, I really enjoyed the games. And then, I mean, what Philadelphia did, I know you hate the Phillies.
Is that the only reason they're there?
I would say so.
Wouldn't they have made the playoffs otherwise? But you're saying because they get fat on their schedule.
Yeah, I mean,
they won 92 games. They would have made the playoffs, even if they didn't win the division.
Two-thirds of your schedule is the Cardinals, the Cubs, the Pirates, and the Reds.
Point taken.
But I know you hate Philly, but wow. I mean, Philly equals electricity. I mean, the atmosphere for that game was unbelievable.
Yeah, the Grand
Both those
Slam,
games.
too.
It was great.
Lord.
It was fun to watch.
But we didn't have any expectations for the Marlins winning that series
we
either.
knew they were going to lose that series.
They really had a great year, too, the Marlins did, and it's overshadowed by this coming out. They had 84 wins for a team. They played the last month of the year to get into the playoffs without their two best pitchers all year.
And it wasn't like they were sitting pretty, but I mean, they really had to fight to make the playoffs.
I shouldn't say two best. Luzardo's there, too, and Luzardo had a really good year as well.
But I mean,
really hot start also.
Perez
Terrible on the road, though.
will be their guy.
Yeah.
By maybe next year he'll be there too. I mean, he's unbelievable.
Hopefully they can pitch him for a whole season next year because it was all self-imposed. Putting him on an innings restriction, not letting him pitch for the playoffs. Probably
the whole
smart
year
too.
For him was kind of like that. I mean,
they thought they were going to shut him down at the end of July.
Injury. Well, no, because too many pitches. He had thrown
he had pitched. No, he didn't. He never got injured. I want to make that clear.
Yes.
He did not get injured. In July, they shut him down for the innings limit, and then Sandy got hurt. And they were like, well, maybe he has a few more innings in him, and they let him keep going a little bit. But when the end of the season got there, his last start was,
shaky
I guess, the beginning of September. So they shut him down again. And so no expectations there either, for real. But still, a good 84 wins, really good. But, Phillies have been playing good ball. They played pretty good yesterday. Let's see more from the Phillies. I mean, they're about to go. Yeah. They're going to have to lose to the Braves. No, they don't have a chance.
No, not at all.
Famous last words, because they definitely have a chance. It's baseball, and baseball seems to happen.
They beat them last
crazy.
year. I mean, they did it last year.
They did.
But do it again.
Yeah, that's bingo. Speaking of do it again, great stuff today. Got lots of sound. I mentioned Don LaGreca. I've got Mad Dog sound. He's irritated by Taylor Swift. Can you believe that?
I can't.
I mean, there was a lot of irritation last week, and then he went on another rant yesterday, 2 days ago. On his show on that. I want to play that sound too. I want to talk about NBA. I'm getting back on my soapbox again.
I got to change the TV at some point. We got preseason action already going on in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, first day going preseason today. We're going to talk to Isaac Simpson, and I want to ask him who is the play caller and how quickly can we fire him. I don't know if Isaac has that information, but that would be great.
I'm guessing you're talking about the Tigers?
Well, yeah. Because Isaac covers the excellent point by you. Isaac Simpson covers the Tigers and the Grizzlies at Tiger Sports Report and the Ethos Grizzlies podcast. I also have the top 5 movies and TV shows that you need to watch in October. Spoiler alert, there's more than 5. But I give my top 5, might have more than 5. And I also give my top 25, spoiler alert, might have more than 5, or 25.
Oh, top 25 more than 25?
Always. That's my college football top 25.
Receiving votes.
And we got Thursday Night Football, so we'll do some gambling too. But first, this happened yesterday. Bryant, one time, I know you're not intimately familiar with this gentleman, but I've played his sound for you both on and off the air before. Don LaGreca. Do you have a recollection of who Don LaGreca is?
He's a radio personality up in New York.
Do you know who he does a show with?
You literally told me multiple times, and I can't remember now.
Michael Kay, that's all right.
Michael Kay.
Voice of the Yankees, Michael Kay.
Uh-huh.
He is the co-host on the Michael Kay Show. I'll tell you what, Don LaGreca, an older man, great head of hair. He's growing out his beard a little bit.
Okay.
He's got this big, bushy, white beard, and he's growing it out a little bit. And he gets angrier than literally any human in existence. He gets so mad. And Evan Neal has had a little back and forth with the New York Giants fan base and the media.
Well, we know Evan Neal. I mean,
wait till we talk about Evan Neal here. So this gentleman, Don LaGreca, he went on the radio yesterday and he read a story about. It started with a quote from Evan Neal, and then I'm just going to let Don LaGreca do the rest.
Why would a lion concern himself with the opinion of a sheep? He added. The person that's commenting on my performance, what does he do? Flip hot dogs and hamburgers somewhere? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I'd cut his ass. I would. How dare you? How dare you? These people pay your salary. They pay an obnoxious amount of money to park, an obnoxious amount of money for PSLs, to sit there and watch this pap, and you call them hamburger flippers? What, you're so much better? I'd rather have a guy that's flipping hamburgers blocked than your piece of garbage ass. Who the hell are you to talk to fans like that? You piece of garbage. I hate when players do that. You're not above us. What, because you happen to play a sport? You make them, you're better than me? You're better than the people that pay your salary? These Giant fans were here before you, and they'll be here after your sorry ass is cut. What a piece of human trash. And I don't want to hear some apology. I don't want to hear, I was taken out of context. I don't want to hear, done. I would cut his fat ass. Oh, if I'm John Mara, I call him into the office and say,
I would.
You were a first-round pick, but you're not worth anything. You don't talk to our fans that way. You don't talk to me that way. You are out of a job.
Don,
You should boo him. If you see him in the mall of Willowbrook, boo his ass. If you see him on the DMV, boo him. Don't stop booing him.
Your thoughts, Brian?
Look, first off,
Any highlights? It's like watching, like I said, got gray hair. He's got this big bushy gray beard now. It's like watching Santa Claus get enraged and just lose his temper live in front of a
well,
microphone.
first off, Don is a pro because he got fired up there and said, "You piece of," and I was like, "Uh-oh."
Even better,
Garbage.
Even better, he got fired up and stopped looking at his co-host and turned to the camera.
Oh,
he
even
was
more
saying
of
it
a-
to
oh,
Evan
what a
Neal
pro.
right into the camera.
What a pro.
He knows he's on TV. He's on the Yes Network. That's
Uh-huh.
courtesy of the Michael Kay Show, by the way, ESPN in New York. Unbelievable job by Don. Now, first of all, I want to say two things. Number one, Evan Neal does stink. Worst player I've ever seen in my life. Might be the worst football player in the history of the National Football League.
Wow.
There's literally only there's some, it's mostly Alabama homers that will defend him. There's some like general SEC homerism on the internet that defends this guy. He is terrible. He's one of the worst players I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he gets abused by the worst defensive lineman you've ever seen, let alone the best. He's awful. He's terrible. But further, we got to get back and play that again too. But he might be better. He might be. And I love also Don LaGreca, who has a bit of a weight problem himself, calling Evan Neal a fat ass.
Yes.
Don,
Check yourself.
check in the mirror. When was the last time you saw your genitals? Goodness sakes.
Lord. My favorite was at the very end where he was like, if you see him at the mall, boo him.
Oh, if you see him at the DMV, you got to move him. Because everybody goes to the DMV, Brian. Everybody goes to the DMV. So it's like something we can all relate to. Evan Neal probably goes to the DMV, and it would be an opportunity to boo him.
Great opportunity, actually.
A great opportunity.
He's there. He's upset he has to wait at the DMV. He's, just sitting there, and everybody starts booing him. It's a great opportunity.
Honestly, there's so many great Don LaGreca rants too. He has the Pythagorean theorem. The Pythagorean theorem says that the Giants' offensive line should be 2-0. That's what the Pythagorean theorem says. That's my Don LaGreca impression there. It's excellent.
Good.
Excellent
What's the last,
stuff right
didn't
there.
Didn't you play one last time we did a show or something?
Yeah,
like that?
I can't even remember what it is either. The Pythagorean theorem is the
That's
best
a good
one.
one.
It's one of the best ones. This might rank up there. Telling some people to boo a guy at the mall and at
That's
the DMV
hilarious.
is as good as it gets.
That is.
It's excellent stuff. You think you're better than me? Huh? You think you're better than me?
You play a sport.
That's
Oh,
really
great.
at the crux of all of sports radio yelling at the players that play, is that they think they have the audacity to think that they're better than me. They're better than me? Nobody's better than me, Bryant.
That's hilarious.
Nobody's better than me. Literally, if you listen to sports radio across the country, our market, other markets, doesn't matter. Any market, anybody talking to a microphone, if they're complaining about players and coaches, it's the crux of the entire argument or the entire opinion is this person thinks they're better than me and nobody's better than me. There's an insecurity in sports media unlike anywhere else in the world. I've heard this story a ton of times. Dan Lebatard talks about it all the time as he hears players that would go into work at like ESPN or stuff like that back when he worked there.
Yeah.
They would go into the office and get they would be awestruck at how they just came from the hyper-competitive world of professional sports, and they've never seen a group of more insecure people than they do in sports media. It truly is maybe reason why, maybe some little therapy session, Brian, maybe it's why we all get into this business, is because we couldn't do as much athletically as we would have hoped we would have been able to do. And so what do we do instead? We criticize the hell out of the players and coaches who can do it and sit them under a microscope. It really is ridiculous. So I agree with him. Evan Neal's the worst football player I've ever seen in my life. But I also disagree with him. And yes, Don, he is better than
better
you.
than
They're
you.
all better than us. and really, we should take a step back a lot of times when we're talking about this stuff and realize they're all better than us.
Yeah.
We should treat it with a certain amount of respect and reverence when we talk about these players rather than criticizing stuff that, quite frankly, we don't know anything about.
Yeah.
Like, I studied basketball for 6, 7, 8 years. Not just watched basketball, studied it under a microscope in order to learn like a monicum of anything about it. Just a small little seedling of something about the sport.
Yeah.
The people that do the job for a living every day know way more than I do. And furthermore, when you learn that kind of stuff, you realize how little you might know about other sports too. And as in sports media, we do not approach it with that same type of reverence and understanding that, oh my God, these guys literally, especially professionals, have PhDs in the sports that they're playing.
Absolutely.
The coaches have PhDs. And for us who like watched it with like the sound on with maybe like another TV on like Big Brother as well while we're watching it, to sit there and criticize them like we know what the hell's going on is a ridiculous. The fact that anybody does this job is ridiculous. Like we take it so seriously and he has to get that worked up about Evan. You don't talk to me that way. You don't talk to me that way. It's ridiculous. It really is.
It seemed at one point he was taking it personally.
Oh, you think?
Evan Neal.
You think? I mean, really, he takes. But that's the insecurity we're talking about. Is like you don't get to talk to me that way. I am the Giants. I created you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But insert market here. Insert market team here.
Right.
You don't get to talk to me that way. This is my team.
Yeah.
It's going to be here after you're gone. But, like, that doesn't make it more yours. It's, in fact, way more theirs than will ever be yours because you sit there and watch the game. Hey, I'll take in another step. I didn't even know I was going to get here, too. But, like, when we talk about, like, the NBA players aren't playing enough, this is a classic sports radio complaint, sports media complaint.
I've heard you go back and forth with John about this.
The players aren't playing enough.
Right.
They need to get out there and play. They're paid to play. They pay their salaries. Or, like, when the player asks to leave a market, like what Damian Lillard just did. More on Damian Lillard later. And we're like, it's there. They get to do that because the sports fan and the sports media person always is going to side with ownership and totally ignore the place that the player has on the team and their standing within the team. It somehow is more meaningful to you. The idea that fans feel obligated or feel the freedom to tell a player when or when not they should play is the epitome of arrogance, ignorance, and stupidity in sports fans. You don't get to tell players when they get to play. You sit your ass in the seat, you shut up, and you watch whatever the hell product they decide to deliver to you because it's not yours, it's theirs. I mean, period. They're the ones playing it. And the arrogance to think that you get to decide when a player should or shouldn't play. And then the victory lap that everyone takes every offseason when Adam Silver puts in a bogus rule.
I was about to say, and now it's Adam Silver saying
bogus rule. No, but it's a bogus rule.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean anything
you're
because
right.
what they already do, nobody is resting players saying he just doesn't feel like playing today. We don't want him to play today. It's a nagging. It's a soft tissue injury. It always is a soft tissue injury, and it's going to continue to be a soft tissue injury. So the victory lap that fans take when Adam Silver makes a rule, he did it last offseason too. Yeah. Not just this past offseason, the one before it. And fans always take a victory lap. See, I told you it's bad for the product. No one's ever going to watch basketball again.
And then like Kawhi even came out at media days, and of course they asked Kawhi about it, and Kawhi was like, I mean, it's not going to change.
Who literally won an NBA championship hurt on one leg. He should play more. What a joke of an idea. I mean, it's just ridiculous,
and he
man.
basically said, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, he was like, they're not going to do anything. It's, whatever.
It really is unbelievable. And I got away from what we were talking about with Don LaGreca because that was hilarious. But also, his point is terrible. His point is literally awful. Now, I will agree Evan Neal's the worst football player I've ever seen.
So one point is good, the other is horrible.
Well, I mean, truly, I also said earlier talking about this, I don't know anything about evaluating certainly an offensive lineman's ability. That being said, Evan Neal's the worst football player I've ever seen in my life. Back after this.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, October 21st, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We'll be taking applications and interviewing candidates on site. Salary starting at $54,611, increasing to $60,713 after probation. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Ian Eagle here from Thursday Night Football on Westwood One. Join Ross Tucker and me for the Commanders hosting the Bears in primetime. Quarterback Sam Howell in Washington took the Eagles to overtime last week, but came up short, dropping to 2-2. Now they face a Chicago team desperate to get a win. Don't miss any of the action on Thursday Night Football.
Right here on Sports 56.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
At Grainger, we're for the ones who specialize in saving the day, and for the ones who've mastered the art of keeping business moving. We offer industrial-grade supplies for every industry, with same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders, all backed by real people ready to help. So you can get the right answers and products right when you need them. Call, clickgrainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise East on Poplar may both be named Sunrise because they serve a fantastic breakfast. But sometimes you can't get to Sunrise for breakfast, and that's why it's important to remember that they both serve amazing lunches until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can get a perfect bacon cheeseburger, or the Dirty Bird sandwich with crispy fried chicken and buffalo sauce, or the fried green tomato BLT at either Sunrise location every day for lunch. When you think of Sunrise, you may think of breakfast, but when you think of lunch, throw in some Sunrise.
Case IH is a proud supporter of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, and thanks to a membership benefits partnership, Mississippi Farm Bureau members receive a discount of up to $500 on every qualifying Case IH tractor and piece of equipment you purchase. This discount may be used with other promotions, rebates, or offers. So join Mid-South Ag Equipment and the Mississippi Farm Bureau and pocket up to $500 in savings. Call Mid-South Ag at 662-890-3141 to get your discount today.
I feel good shopping at DriveMax. DriveMax, you get value.
Need a car that screams I feel good? DriveMax has it all. From cars to SUVs, find a tightly inspected used car that'll have you dancing all the way home. Call 901-664-2424 or visit DriveMaxApproval.com.
DriveMax, I got approved.
I'm with John Vergos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Vergos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
Now, back to Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio. This hour is brought to you by Scooters Plus on Summer Avenue. Here once again is Johnny Radio.
Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter. He's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant. He knows when he goes back to this mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go capture this moment and hope it don't do it.
I need to find the best portions of that Don LaGreca rant and just play them periodically throughout the show today, because that is
the highlights of it.
It's electric. What would be the highlights? Boo him at the DMV.
I love that part. That's
you
my
think
favorite.
You're better than me? Those would be the two.
Those probably are the two.
Those are the two that
highlights,
I like for sure. But we have to put that on the back burner for a minute. We've got a lot to talk about today. Isaac Simpson. He is a writer for TigerSportsReport.com. He's also the co-host of the Ethos Grizzlies podcast. You can get that wherever you listen to podcasts. He has had a busy week, I'm sure, with Monday being at the Grizzlies Media Day, and that's kind of where I want to start with you, Isaac. Thank you for joining us. I want to ask you kind of a question here, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. And you can answer this any way you want to, whatever entertains you. What's the most entertaining thing that you heard on Monday at Grizzlies Media Day? Good morning.
Good morning, man. I think it had to be Derrick Rose. If you watch those interviews and those videos, and anybody that saw Derrick Rose back when he was here at the University of Memphis, anybody kind of in their 30s like me, old guy now, if you saw him back at the University of Memphis, you wouldn't even recognize that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Back when he was at Memphis, he was shy. When you interviewed him, he'd give kind of one-word answers. He even said it himself. I don't think this is knocking him or anything. He even said himself at that time he couldn't really articulate the way that he wanted to, and I mean, he really just commanded that room. I mean, just the way that he was able to express like different things and talk about the game. You could just see the basketball IQ coming through and what he was saying. And I just think it's going to be tremendous for this team. I mean, and that's not to take anything away from the other guys' interviews. They were all great, but it was different with Derrick Rose. I mean, there was just a different aura about it. And I just think it's invaluable, man, for them to get him on a cheap deal like that. This is probably his last stop. But even more so of what you get on the floor from him, I think it's going to be really valuable for these guys in his locker room. And Derrick has never been a guy that's really vocal. And he stated that at practice the other day that Taylor Jenkins is kind of pushing him to be more of that vocal leader. He said he's more of a guy that always kind of led by example. But now when he sees stuff, he's pointed out in practice, and Taylor Jenkins and his staff has entrusted him to kind of be that guy, to be an extension of the coaching staff. And I just think it's going to be awesome for this basketball team.
But not be a babysitter, right? Because didn't he say that? He goes, I'm not here to babysit. Or I think he said that to Ja, right? That he's not here to be a babysitter.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people kind of took that and run with it. And being a babysitter versus being a mentor is two different things. Just because a guy is not going to hold your hand and try to stop you from doing certain things doesn't mean he's not valuable, not going to be in your ear, not going to share knowledge with you. And I think that's kind of the differentiation that people aren't understanding with that. I think he's going to be valuable. He doesn't have to hold, because John's a grown man. Like, at the end of the day, he's going to do what he's going to do. But I definitely think Derrick, just seeing the stuff that he's been through, kind of came into the league the same way, burst on the scene. He's had his off-court transgressions as well, just like Ja. I mean, he's seen it all. I mean, been to the NCAA championship game. I mean, he's been MVP at a really young age. He's just seen it all, and I think he has a lot of knowledge to give Ja and the rest of his team. And the thing about it is, Ja, when you saw when they first made the move to sign Derrick Rose, Ja came out of his Twitter hiatus immediately and tweeted about it. He respects Derrick Rose, grew up idolizing him, so he's a guy that I think that Ja will really listen to, and I think that's the really good thing about that.
All right, what's the funniest thing you heard at Grizzlies Media Day? It doesn't have to be like poking fun at a player. If you want it to be, that's totally fine too. But what's something you said, like, man, that's funny? Like someone who had a good personality, what's the funniest thing you heard at Grizz Media Day?
I think it's definitely Steven Adams. There was a point, I can't remember who asked the question. They were talking about a Korean player that was talking about he baked his free throws in, and they asked him, would he ever consider baking his free throws? Would he ever consider shooting his free throws like that? And then he asked, was the guy from North Korea or South Korea? And everybody just kind of bust out a laugh. I think that's Steven, man. Steven is great. Like, you just never know what he's going to say. When he came out, they kind of said, do we need to have a delay on this? Because he'll say anything, man. He's wild, man, but I love him, man. I wouldn't want him to be any other way. But I think that's kind of the funniest awkward moment, I think, that we got out of Media Day. But he's always going to give you a quote, no doubt about that.
I'll tell you, it's an important distinction, though, and it's one he had to ask because you got to know before you do that. It's an important distinction. Although, I'll tell you what, Dennis Rodman had a heck of a career. He spent some time playing basketball for a short stint there in North Korea as well. Last thing, and then I'm going to let Bryant ask about Media Day too, but I had a three-part thing here. What's the most troublesome or maybe worrisome thing that you heard at Grizz Media Day going into this season?
To keep the theme with Steven Adams, I think it's definitely the Steven Adams thing. I've been skeptical all summer about the Steven Adams situation because it's been so weird. I've heard some stuff off the record on kind of some of the stuff that was going on last year during the playoffs and before the playoffs with injury, and there's been a lot of different thoughts on it. There was a New Zealand report that he had another surgery during the offseason. I don't think the Grizzlies ever said that was the case. I've heard that he hasn't had it from some people from the Grizzlies side. So it's just weird. And now this injury happened 10 months ago. It's almost a year later, and they're still saying we hope or we expect him to be, and Steven Adams himself said it would even be, I can't remember the exact adjective that he used, but to say he would be ready to go right now would not be an accurate statement. And I just think that's concerning for a guy that's as important to this organization, this franchise as he is, as far as with his rebounding, creating second chance opportunities, his screen setting for job. I mean, we saw no shout out to Xavier Tillman and his efforts, but we saw how much they missed him in the Lakers going up against a guy like AD. So what he does is really important for this team. And if he's not ready to go, man, that changes some things for this team. And it just seems like they're still not sure exactly what's going on with the knee or how it will respond. So I think that's my biggest question mark coming out of Media Day.
I wish there was something more concrete, like you said, is like you're hearing different things from different people too, and it's almost like that's a result of the lack of transparency sometimes.
Yeah.
Not that you have to be transparent with everybody or tell everybody anything, but even if you just have one person that we can rely on as a fan base, this is your voice box in the media, they don't even have that, and maybe that leads to some of the skepticism with Steven Adams as well.
Yeah, this organization has always been kind of weird with injury reporting. They were kind of accurate on Jaren the second time, but the first time they were saying that he was going to come back shortly after the season started. He ended up not returning until April or late March or something like that. And we've seen that kind of happen with everybody outside of Josh. Josh's the only one that seems to kind of supersede those injury question marks, but they've always been weird and not fully transparent with these type of injuries. That's just something they do. You get a lot of, I don't say GM speak or coach speak when it comes to those type of things. And it just seems like there was a disconnect. And from what I've heard, it seems like there was a disconnect even from Steven Adams and his camp versus the Grizzlies on how they wanted to handle it. He kind of wanted to do, I've heard, more holistic type treatments. They wanted him to go ahead and get the surgery early. And it just seemed like this whole thing was botched. But hopefully he comes back healthy because, again, man, he's paramount for this team and what they do.
Yeah, well, it's really been, it seems like from the start of this injury, it's been kind of weird. The kind of information hasn't been all the way there. It seemed like at one point he was going to be coming back in a week or two, and then you kind of get the drop that he had those stem cells, and so it's just been weird from the very start. I am curious your thoughts, because it seemed like one of the biggest stories out of Memphis Media Days, one of the biggest notes from Memphis Media Days is the fact that during this suspension for Ja, he'll still be able to be around the team. He'll be at practices, he'll be at games. For Ja Morant, how big is that for him to still be involved with these guys, to still be around at practice, and for when he comes back after those games, kind of being able to keep that cardio up, being around all these guys?
Yeah, it's huge for two reasons. Number one, this organization is always extremely cautious. And one of my concerns was 25 games would probably turn into 35 because they have what you call they ramp up periods where they kind of work guys back in. And I was excited because I heard Taylor Jenkins actually say game 26 that basically that John would be ready to go.
Yeah.
And to have him around the team, I think even just outside of basketball wise, mentally wise, you're just not sitting at home depressed, wishing you could be out there. At least you're out there with the guys. He's going to be able to travel with the team. He can't be in the arena on the bench, but I guess he's going to go on the road with the team and just be able to be in practice and build that camaraderie with the new guys and keep up that chemistry and working out. You know, John's going to put in the work even if he was away from the team.
Sure.
But being in those organized team practices, I think it's gonna do him wonders. And John's the type of guy. He has that kind of Jordan Kobe syndrome where he uses any kind of slide or anything to kind of motivate him. And can you imagine what he has built up going through this situation? I mean, coming back healthy, rested, and I imagine he's going to have a huge chip on his shoulder, man. I think he's going to tear through the league. I think he's going to have a fantastic year. People were pointing out that he wasn't smiling at practice the other day, man. I think that's bad for the other guys in the NBA, man. Bad for the league. I think he's about to come back and have a big-time year. Because a lot of people seem to forget who he is, man. I've seen people saying, like, oh, Jalen Brunson's better than him. I've seen lists with the top 30 players in the NBA, 25 players in the NBA. He's not on them, top 10 point guards. He's not on these lists. And people are forgetting what this guy's done. Yeah. I know he's kind of had some missteps off the court, but you can't take away anything that he's done on the court. And I think he's going to come back and remind a lot of these people of who he is. So I'm expecting a big year. And him being able to be around this team, I think is huge. And that's a big weight off of me because there was a concern going into the season, again, that it could turn into more games and just the fact that he could be rusty. And I think this definitely helps on both fronts.
I got one more question for you about the Grizzlies, Isaac. Isaac Simpson joining us, by the way, TigerSportsReport.com and the Ethos Grizzlies podcast. You can get everything he does there and does a great job. I have one more Grizzlies question for you, Isaac, and then I want to hop on to Tiger football, which is a tough topic after the tough. I mean, it was a win. A win's a win, but nonetheless. My last question for the Grizzlies, too, is Marcus Smart a new addition? And like I saw a report the other day that Jaylen Brown is talking about what a big loss that is for their locker room in terms of leadership and stuff like that. And Marcus Smart seems to be saying all the right things. What was your initial impression of Marcus Smart, and what did the rest of the team say about his addition to the locker room?
Yeah, man, I think he's going to be huge. As far as kind of some of the same things I talked about with Derrick Rose, this coaching staff wants him to be vocal, and I think they kind of missed those type of voices in the locker room last year. Maybe if they had guys like Marcus Smart and Derrick Rose in the locker room last year, maybe things would have went a little bit different. I think the whole theme of kind of media day and this team this year is just a reset. I think a lot of the stuff last year, the talking and the reputation that they were talking and not backing things up, they just want to kind of reset and kind of change the mindset. Not that they're not gonna still talk and be tough and have that kind of mindset, but just a different kind of vibe around the team. And I think overall, I think Marcus Smart kind of helps with that. He's a veteran presence. You talk about a guy with playoff experience. I don't know if there's another guy in the league that has the type of playoff experience that he does overall. I mean, he's been in some battles, and they needed that kind of veteran in the locker room. He came in talking about the defense, the defensive principal having 2 defensive players of the years, and him and Jaren Jackson Jr., how that's going to be tremendous. And he's just coming in to be himself. He said that this team can't get to where they need to get without John Morant, and that he's going to come in and fill his role. But he's not going to come in and try to take over the team or anything like that. He's just going to play his game. And I think him playing this game, I think, is a tremendous boost for this basketball team. Just to have a guy that, and not that Marcus Smart is the most efficient player, but he's definitely a lot more efficient than Dillon Brooks. He's not going to go out there and shoot you out of a game on both nights like we kind of saw with Dillon Brooks. And personally, I think Marcus Smart is a better one-on-one defender than Dillon Brooks. He does give up a little bit of size. He's not as big as Dillon Brooks, which is a little bit of a concern for me. I wish they had probably gone out and getting a vet guy, maybe that you could bring out the bench that was maybe 6'7", 6'8", that could come in and defend. I could see them getting, especially when you get into the playoffs, if you're going up against a team like the Lakers that has a lot of big wings, or maybe even get to the finals against a team like Boston. I think being small like that could create some problems, especially if Marcus Smart gets in foul trouble. You could see some issues there, but I think it'll be fine in the regular season. But I just think it's a tremendous addition for this team to have a guy like that with that experience, that knowledge, another guy that can lock up and play defense like that. I think it's a tremendous addition, and I loved everything that he had to say.
I lied, Isaac. I have one more basketball question. Dylan Brooks also, and Fred VanVleet for that matter, have really had a positive. I guess everything's positive on media days, so I shouldn't look too much into it. But it seems like they've had an extremely positive experience in that new locker room. Looks like they were having a lot of fun. I saw Fred VanVleet gifted the whole team a bunch of different stuff. They gave him a box of all this kind of stuff and stuff like that. Yeah, really cool. And then Dylan Brooks really ingratiated himself with the Houston media in a positive way. And it seemed like they were very receptive to his addition as well. Are you happy to see him seemingly happy, or it's kind of he's not here anymore? We don't really have much to think about him.
Yeah, got more of the latter. I think it's good for him that he's happy. Seems like he's happy to be there. It just kind of seems like everybody hated him when he was with the Grizzlies. Now all of a sudden it's this positive thing with Houston, and national media is even kind of talking more positive about it when they hated him when he was with the Grizzlies. So that's kind of interesting to see how that played out. We'll see if that lasts. But being in Houston with that young team, him and Fred VanVleet coming in as veterans, I think it'll be good. I think I'm a big fan of Ime Udoka as a coach. I think he's a really good coach, and I think he's going to do a good job down there. They just got to figure out who are their guys. Like Houston, they have a lot of guys that are very similar. I just think that roster is kind of unbalanced. I still don't know exactly what they're doing as a team as far as the makeup of that roster. But for Dylan, man, like you said, yeah, man, he's dancing around, seems to be having a lot of fun at the media day, man. So good on him. We'll see how it plays out. He said he has those Grizzlies game circle. I think the Grizzlies players probably had that game circle too. I don't think it's going to be a lot of fun for him, man. But we'll see how it goes. But I'm sure he's going to try to go at the Grizzlies, man. They got him 4 times, so we're definitely going to see him.
Well, they got to start playing defense in Houston before they do anything else, because they haven't been doing any of that in the last couple of years. All right, getting to Tiger football here. Maybe they should just play all their games at I'll say on the road, but I guess technically a neutral site, because they seem to do a lot better when it's not in Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium.
Hey, big comeback.
Big comeback, great second half there. But I got to ask you, Isaac, what do you make of their first half struggles in the last 2 home games that they played here?
Yeah, man, it was ugly, man. To start off, it was just kind of, oh man, this is really not going to turn out, because when the schedule came out, you're like, okay, you got these 3 games. You got Missouri on a neutral. You got Boise State, Tulane at home. And you're thinking, okay, if you get 2 of these, you're in really good shape. And you go up to St. Louis and you lose that game by 7. That's a game where I thought some coaching blunders there. I think they could have won that game. But you come into this game and you're like, oh man, this is really about to go south. They're going to lose this game. They're probably going to drop the game to Tulane, and it's over, because this is a game that they had to have for just even for momentum purposes. Because even if they had lost this game, I think you lose this game and you go beat Tulane next week, you still had a really good shot at possibly being in the championship game or winning the AAC. But I think optics-wise, this was a game that you had to have. I mean, Silverfield take a lot of criticism. He had to prove that he could win a quote-unquote big game this season, and they were able to do that. But in that first half, man, it was really depressing. I think the Kenton Arku block field goal return is kind of where the momentum kind of swung on their side.
Changed the game.
They were able to, yeah, I mean, that's a big-time play that he made there, and they were able to change the game. And they were able to pull the game out. But, again, man, you kind of look back at that game. It didn't look like it was going to go that way early. No. But I'm just happy they were able to pull it out, because, again, that keeps them still in the conversation for crazy stuff like New Year's 6 if you still want to bet on that, and opportunity to be in the conference championship game and win this thing. Everything is still in front of them. I mean, you have to worry about what Fresno State and Air Force does out in the Mountain West, but you're still right there right now. And if you can beat Tulane next Friday, man, you're really in the driver's seat to win this AAC, as long as you win the games you're supposed to win, because outside of that, I'm sure they'll be favored in every game in the remainder of the season. Doesn't mean they'll win every one of them, but they'll be favored to do so. So it kept all their big dreams in front of them. So, I mean, that it was a tremendous victory in that vein. No question about it.
If anybody's looking for someone to blame on first half struggles, you can blame me too. I left at halftime of that game. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, you talk about Tulane, obviously a big game next Friday night, and we talk about these slow starts, and really, I mean, home for sure, but it's really been all season, even on the road, some slow starts. Obviously, I think that's one thing you need to change going into that Tulane game. But when you look at Memphis, when you look at Tulane going into next week, both teams coming off of off weeks, what are some things that you think Memphis really needs to focus on in order to win that game?
Oh, well, first off, when you got to look at Tulane, I personally don't think Tulane is as good as they're supposed to be. Definitely not as good of a team as they were last year. I mean, you saw that game. It took UAB gave them everything they wanted in that game last week. So I think this is a winnable game for Memphis. I think for Memphis offensively, they just got to find some consistency. Honestly, I've been a little disappointed in Steph. I thought year three that he would be more advanced in this and passing the ball. And it's weird because it's a lot of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde with him because you'll see these tremendous throws. Like you had the back shoulder fade to skate for a touchdown. You've seen he had a big throw to Rock Taylor along the sideline. And you see those throws, you're like, man, that's what we want to see out of it. And then you see these kind of plays where he's indecisive and he'll throw a bad pick. And you're like, man, where is this coming from? I think consistency on offense is the key. The defense has been pretty good. Like I was kind of surprised at how well either both lines, the offensive line and the defensive line, stood up against the SEC opponent in Missouri. They didn't get pushed around in that game. Yeah. That's usually what you expect out of that, and that's not really what happened in that game. So I think consistency on offense because Tulane's going to put points on the board. You're going to have to continue to move the football, and they have a lot of drives that stall out very quickly, a lot of 3 and out, and they have to find more consistency there, and also more consistency in the running game. I know Blake Watson is big time, but they have a lot of situations where they're getting these short down 3rd and 1, and they have a hard time picking them up. They have to find more consistency there, just offense overall. I think that's the biggest question. And a lot of times I think it's play calling. I mean, you see some of these plays and you scratch your head like, why would you call that there? And I think that's part on the offense and it's on the coaching staff as well. So I think consistency on offense, I think, is what's going to lead them to be able to beat a team like Tulane. I'm not as concerned about them on the defensive side of the ball, man. Just can they move the football and put points on the board?
I'm so glad you said that too, Isaac, because one of the questions was centered around, I wanted to ask you, you just answered it for me right there. I was going to talk about, I think whoever's calling the plays is horrible. I mean, I'll say it more bluntly. I mean, it's terrible play calling. Last thing I want to say you too, and I'm not trying to take you one direction or another, so please don't think this is pointed at all. Do you think Seth Hennigan is overrated in our market as a quarterback?
I wouldn't say he's overrated because I think a lot of people have kind of said some of the same things that I've just said here, that he's inconsistent. I think he's a good quarterback. I like Steph. I don't want to down him too much because he's made plays. I mean, there's times where he's a warrior. I will say that, man. He hangs in there. It's just that it seems like, and I don't even want to. I don't know. He's kind of regressed a little bit, to be honest.
For sure.
It seems like at times he was a little bit better last year. It seems like he's kind of gone backwards, and I don't understand it because you can see he can make all the throws. It just seems like for some reason this year his inner clock is he's thinking too much on the field. I guess I'll say, and you can almost see it when he drops back that he's thinking too much. And a lot of times he keys in on one read, and that's why you'll see him throw picks because he'll lock in on one guy, and the defense recognize that, and it's an easy play for them. So he just has to continue to make some of the good plays like we saw, and kind of be more decisive on the field. I think a lot of it just seems like he's in his head a little bit more this year than he's been, and that's kind of been the disappointing thing. But I think this team goes as far as he takes them, and I think that's the question. Can he do it against Tulane? Made some big throws in the second half of the Boise State game. We just need to see more consistency from him in the offense overall. But, yeah, man, I don't necessarily think he's overrated because, again, I think a lot of people have kind of said the same thing. But, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on Steph this year so far.
Isaac Simpson joins John every Thursday. Today he joins me and Bryant. Isaac, thanks so much. You can read him at TigerSportsReport.com. You can listen to him on the Ethos Grizzlies podcast, especially with the season ramping up. There's a lot of stuff going on. Isaac, thanks again for joining us. Do the Cowboys?
So much, Isaac.
Yeah, the last question too. Do the Cowboys cover the 4 points, or do they win the game in San Francisco on Sunday Night Football?
Man, I feel good about it, man. I think they win the game outright.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, man. I'm going all the way out with it. I just have a feeling, man. They've knocked us out of the playoffs 2 years in a row. I think they're ready for this game. I think this is definitely the biggest test that the San Francisco's had all year, man. I just think it's time, man. I mean, you can't lose to this team again, man. If they lose to this team again, it's going to be same old Cowboys, can't get it done. I think they're fired up and ready to go. I think they find a way to get it done. I know that sounds crazy. San Francisco's a monster at home. There's no doubt about that. Not going to be easy, but I just have a sneaky feeling, man, they find a way to get it done.
Isaac Simpson, like I said, TigerSportsReport.com, Ethos Grizzlies podcast, just predicted a Cowboys win on the road in Sunday Night Football. Thanks so much, Isaac.
Thanks, Isaac.
Thanks, man. Talk to you guys next week.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Start your day the right way at La Palapa with the biggest, baddest breakfast burrito around. Chorizo, cheese, rice, beans, and eggs served with fresh salsa, and it's served all day. La Palapa has daily lunch specials, all served with rice and beans, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Try a torta, breaded chicken, steak, chorizo, or ham served with mayo, avocado, lettuce, tomato, and jalapenos, all in a hoagie. Plus amazing soups and dinner entrees, all at La Palapa, 5255 Summer Avenue. La Palapa, the little hut with big taste. Simple, smooth, and every sip as easy as the last. Tito's handmade vodka tastes just as good with tap water as it does with your favorite mixer. Back in the day, Tito distilled, hand-bottled, taste-tested, sent to a few friends, then taste-tested again to give you the finest juice around. No frills, no flavors, no fancy labels, just the good stuff. Just Tito's. For recipes, videos, and more, visit Tito'sVodka.com. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas, 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf. Call 800-215-2418, 800-215-2418, 800-215-2418.
This holiday season, Conway Services, part of the ARS network, would like to recognize those making a difference in our communities. Through our national ARS Cares Community Heroes program, we want to give back to a community hero for the positive impact they have made by giving them a new heating and cooling system or water heater. Take a minute to nominate your deserving community hero in need by visiting ars.com/ARS Cares.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, October 21st, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We'll be taking applications and interviewing candidates on site. Salary starting at $54,611, increasing to $60,713 after probation. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Now, back to Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio. This hour is brought to you by Scooters Plus on Summer Avenue. Here once again is Johnny Radio.
Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes rabbit. He choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he know he won't have it. He knows his whole back to these ropes. It don't matter. He's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so stagnant. He knows when he goes back to this mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go capture this moment and hope it don't do it. Lose yourself in the music the moment you own it. You better never let it go. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance.
I'm so disappointed.
Why?
You saw me just a second ago. What was I doing? Pulling up all the Don LaGreca sound. I had it down to the timestamp exactly when I was going to play it. I was going to mix it with Eminem on beat, him screaming obscenities, and then the internet died. I mean, what a piece of crap internet connection we got up here. I mean, good Lord, this is ridiculous. I'm trying to make Marconi a award-winning radio here, and we can't even get sustainable internet. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's a joke. It's a joke. Boo the internet. I don't care if you see the internet in the ball. Boo it. You see the internet in the DMV. Boo it. It's ridiculous. Please.
I think you did a job well done there.
Thanks, Brent. It really leads me well into other sound I wanted to play here today, which I'm extremely happy about. This is Doggy. Mad Dog. Christopher Mad Dog Russo. You know Chris Russo, Brian, don't you?
Doggy.
Mike and the Mad Dog.
Oh, wow.
Sports Radio 66 WFAN. They're talking sports, going at it as hard as they can. Also a microcosm for sports radio. I mean, you got to go at it hard, Brian.
Yeah, you
Any
really do.
fun, not allowed, no laughing. We got to go at it hard.
That's
I need
right.
your serious opinions about serious things.
That's right.
It's sports. It's not something jovial like news. This is sports. Hey, we got to take this serious.
That's right.
Well, what else do we have if we don't take this serious?
Great point by you.
And I think the epitome of that is that Mad Dog and Mike and the Mad Dog, they invented serious sports radio, and it's been devalued so much. It's just not. It's not a valuable product anymore to take sports radio or like to give serious analysis.
Right.
Look no further than the guy that invented it, joking around constantly, talking about taking weed gummies on ESPN Disney television.
Yes.
So if he can't tell you, if you're not going to listen to me tell you that you shouldn't take this stuff seriously anymore and entertainment value is far more important, listen to Mad Dog, who has totally left behind serious sports analysis. Anyway, last week he said that he didn't care if Taylor Swift was nude in the booth. I'm not gonna look at her. I don't care if she's nude in the booth. They shouldn't put the camera on her. I don't care. I don't want to see anymore. He said his daughters are very upset with him for this take, and he went on his show, Mad Dog Sports Radio, on Mad Dog Unleashed on Sirius XM Radio. This is courtesy of Mad Dog Unleashed on Sirius XM Radio, and he had this to say. What's today? Thursday. He had this to say on Tuesday.
And Kansas City gets every call known to man, so I don't want to hear about the Chiefs. They get every call known to man. They have forever. And I've had enough of Taylor Swift. I said that last week. I'll say it again. Enough. Again, Len Dawson. Go to a history book. And, you know, maybe the NFL wants Taylor Swift. I know, keep the Chiefs relevant, so and not that they wouldn't be anyway, but we can go out there and we can see Taylor hanging out with Travis Kelce for the next 50 weeks. I mean, is that the deal here? I got to sit there and see her in every booth known to man? I mean, she's never heard of do you think she knows who Phil Simms is? I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, played in that site? Oh, my God, enough. Even my daughter's killing me now on Taylor Swift. The Swifties have come after me.
What do you think about that, Brian?
Swifty's does Taylor Swift know who Phil Simms is?
Yeah, don't even know Phil Simms, Lynn Dawson.
Valid question.
You know Lynn Dawson, right, Brian?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, before we go to break here, we got to go to a break. Name me one team Lynn Dawson played for.
Oh, the G-Men.
Wrong.
What do you get when you have a dream, a beer, and a business plan? Meddlesome Brewing. Meddlesome's classic ales and lagers capture the true Memphis spirit. Strong, tenacious, and unforgettable. Meddlesome captures true Memphis spirit as well with community events including Ska-toberfest, Saturday, October 14th, with plenty of bands and plenty of brews like Memphis Style and 201 Hoppler. Meddlesome Brewing on Trinity in Cordova, just east of Shelby Farms. On tap and canned packages. Meddlesome Brewing. Never settle, always metal.
Hi, this is Lauren Choate with Choate's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Plumbing. Choate's is offering some amazing specials for this month only. If you're considering upgrading your furnace before the cold weather comes, Choate's is offering $1,000 off a new Carrier furnace. If you don't need a new furnace, Choate's is now offering its early bird $60 furnace tune-up. This 22-point tune-up includes a free carbon monoxide test and heat exchanger inspection. And Choate's is your indoor air quality expert. For the best quality air for you and your family, it's recommended to have your air ducts cleaned every 8 years. This month only, Choate's will install a free UV light system when you get your air ducts cleaned, a $500 value. Call us at 347-8086 to take advantage of these amazing deals. So, turn to the experts with Choate's, and remember, let our family serve your family.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed, when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Hey, in New York, right now I'm looking at all of the unders for Jets offensive numbers. Passing yards, touchdowns, receiving yards. I'm looking at all the unders in New York. So visit FanDuel.com/win and kick off the NFL season. That's FanDuel.com/win, FanDuel.com/win. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL.
21 plus and present in Tennessee. First online real money wager, only $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call TN Redline 1-800-889-9789.
We interrupt this broadcast for special news and information concerning family leisure.
The world's biggest spa sale is back and bigger than ever at Family Leisure. How is that possible? Well, let me tell you. You start off with 50 different spa models to choose from 5 different manufacturers. Then you throw in up to 30% off in-stock spas and swim spas. But is that all? Oh, no. You get free upgrades on all in-stock spas, plus 24 months, same as cash. Wow! This is the kind of sale that you just can't have every day, but it's happening right now at Family Leisure, the world's biggest spa sale. Soak in the savings right now at Family Leisure, Witten Road and I-40. You know the place where family and fun come together.
Please remain calm and walk, don't run to Family Leisure. And now back to your regular programming.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo, Saturday, October 21st, 2023, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We'll be taking applications and interviewing candidates on site. Salary starting at $54,611, increasing to $60,713 after probation. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. and join Ottawild Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawild is a PCUSA church located in Midtown Memphis.
We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations.
4.9-liter V8, 0 to 60, and I'm about to find out.
Now, back to Sports 56 Happy Hour on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Tito's Vodka. Here once again, Johnny Radio.
How dare you? How dare you? You boo him. You see him in the mall at Willowbrook, boo his ass. If you see him on the DMV, boo him!
Don LaGreca. What a guy, man.
Heartbreaker.
Michael K. Show, ESPN in New York. That's not the show you're listening to, by the way. I know it's very confusing. People have to say the name of the show and the channel when you come back. Otherwise, people will be like, what station am I listening to? No, this is Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. I was just crediting the great Michael K. Show.
And that great clip.
ESPN in New York from Don LaGreca there. But you should stay tuned to our station because we have an excellent guest, my favorite guest every week. Evie Van Pelt joins us now. She is the founder and publisher of The Rebel Walk, your one-stop shop. I think that's what John always says. Your one-stop shop for Ole Miss Rebels sports information. And Evie, how are you this, I guess it's afternoon now. How are you this afternoon, first of all? And my first question for you, very specific, very pointed. How about them Rebels?
How about them Rebs?
Yay, hotty toddy. I am doing infinitely better after last Saturday. I don't know about y'all, but what a game. And yes, I stormed the field.
Really?
Oh.
Well, I actually, they let media go down to. I really should be quiet because I don't think media relations would really approve. But they let us go down to the sidelines with about 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and oh my gosh, I got so amped up. I mean, Dante Moncrief, the former Rebel great, was down on the sidelines hyping up the crowd, hyping me up, and when that final play, when the ball, fell finally to the ground in the end zone, one of his few incomplete passes. I did go out onto the field. I guess I need to remain professional and say I went out onto the field to video reactions. But yeah, it was really stormy.
Well,
in the middle of all of it.
It's far more exciting to say you stormed the field, Levy. I like the way you worded it quite more. That's exciting, right? That's exciting journalism to do right there. I have to ask you as well, and this is another ridiculous question too, but didn't Dexter McCluster lock the vault before the game?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean,
so you got
it was just, the entire, in fact, that 2003 Cotton Bowl winning team. I mean, Eli Manning was there for the game. He was on the field pregame, and Coach Cutcliffe, the entire 2003 team was there. Well, maybe not the whole team, but they were represented there by a really good number of group of them. And so that was fun to see. And I want to say I've been going to Ole Miss games for a long, long time. Been there for some crazy ones, that Alabama game in 2014. But this crowd was amazing. And they stayed, and the students stayed, and nobody went back to the Grove, and the stadium was packed. So it was awesome.
Well, and I mean, offense in this game. I mean, it was both sides. I mean, it was incredibly fun to watch, but my head was spinning after watching that game. But how big was it to get Quinshon Judkins? A huge game for him, 177 yards and a touchdown. I know a lot of people, especially Ole Miss fans and people like you that cover Ole Miss, were kind of worried about Quinshon through these first couple of games. Obviously, out for that injury and then coming back, really couldn't get it going completely. But how big was it for him against a team like LSU to go out and put together that type of performance?
Oh, it was huge. I mean, it's one thing if you're doing it against Mercer, but if you're doing it against LSU, and it was by far his biggest game of the season, and I want to say, it was season high in both yards and rush attempts, and I believe his 33 carries was just one shy of a career high. I believe he had 34 carries against A&M last year, but great to see him healthy, great to see him racking up all those yards, and honestly, I really want to shout out to Ulysses Bentley the fourth. Also, he had a career high 90 yards against LSU, and I think was another pivotal player.
What did Coach Kevin have to say after the game? I know he had been receiving, I don't want to say heavy criticism, but certainly some criticism going into that game. What did he have to say after the victory?
Well, he really did. He had received a lot of criticism, and I think that he had received a lot of it because that offensive performance against Alabama was just not exactly, what anybody expected. And so, I mean, I think to be honest, again, like we said last week, if you hold Alabama to 24 points, you probably think that you're gonna have come out of that game with a win if you're Ole Miss, just because you just don't think that the Rebels will be held to 10 points. So definitely after the LSU game, he was incredibly, happy about it, as effusive as Lane can be. He doesn't, he's never going to be rah-rah. But I will tell you, he did start off his press conference by thanking the fans. He's been a little critical of, fans wanting people to show up and stay, and he right off the bat thanked everybody for that. And so, he was really pleased with Dart's performance. And actually, his player of the game was the Ole Miss offensive line. And I think that was very appropriate because they were not the players of the game the week before in Alabama, and he had really challenged them. So I think they did a great job.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Jackson Dart, and I know you and John, I'm sure, talk about Jackson Dart every week because he's the starting quarterback. But when you look at what he's done through these first 5 weeks of the season, I've been really impressed at kind of the step I've seen him take, or at least it seems like he's taken as a passer. I mean, you go back and look at last year, 20 touchdowns touchdowns to 11 interceptions. Right now he's sitting at 11 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 1,485 yards. What have you seen from him in terms of those improvements from last season as just a pure passer?
Well, I tell you what, you hit the nail on the head there. He's improved and dramatically with the interceptions, and just cutting those down to just 2. I mean, that's been really just fantastic. I mean, there was one untimely one, I think, against Alabama the week before, but for the most part, yeah. I mean, he's leading in a number of categories, and I think even passing yards per completion. You know, the Rebels love to say score from far, and I think his average completion is 16.32 yards. Wow. Per pass, and just really, it seems to be it's not just his play, he's definitely playing smarter. His total QBR has jumped up. Last year it was right around 70, 72, which, as that implies, it was probably about average, had him down in the lower 20s, I think, in the country, and that's just not an elite level and not going to get it done in the SEC, and he's really risen in that this year too, and so I think that's been important. And his leadership, his leadership this year has been off the chart. He's really made a point to he's a quieter kid. He's not as, exuberant, I don't think, as Matt Corral, but we've seen him get exuberant this year, but he's really made a point, I think, to put the team on his shoulders.
Well, obviously, kind of moving from week 5 to week 5 into week 6. I think that's right. Weeks. I think I got it. It all runs together. NFL's 1 week behind. You forget all the numbers going around. But as we kind of move from week 5 to week 6, obviously 1,300 combined yards between the two teams looks really good for one side of the ball, and really leaves something to be desired on the other side of the ball. So, what did Coach Kiffin say regarding the things that need to be improved going from last week to this week?
Well, he spoke on the SEC coaches teleconference yesterday and said he hopes that LSU game is an outlier, that those 44 points they gave up, they were doing really well. Their scoring defense, I mean, even, again, holding Alabama to 24 in Tuscaloosa. So he kind of hopes that was an outlier and really challenged them. He said he challenged the offense and the offensive line after the Alabama game, and that he's done the same with the defense. And, it's going to be challenging. I mean, we've got another, you turn around and there you've got KJ Jefferson and Rocket Sanders coming in. And I think Rocket is more healthy than what he was. And, Kiffin talked about the defense is going to have to, limit explosive plays. And again, that's easier said than done. I don't think it will be, I hope, it won't be as challenging as LSU, because my gosh, Jaden Daniels is just something else. He just, but Kiffin said that we're just on defense, we're going to have to stop the run and limit the explosive pass plays. And so I think that'll probably be it in a nutshell.
Well, Evie, you mentioned that next game against Arkansas, and kind of looking at this Arkansas team, 2-3 right now, just got beat by Texas A&M, but played LSU really close the week before, but maybe kind of down year for Arkansas this year. But you go back last year, the year before, kind of recent history, Arkansas versus Ole Miss have been some really entertaining, really close games. How important is it for this Ole Miss team not to kind of get too high on this win over LSU and maybe overlook a team that on paper doesn't look as good as it has in past years in Arkansas?
Well, I think the good thing for Ole Miss, it's not a good thing they lost last year, but I think that they recall very well what happened to them last year at Arkansas. And they recall, I think last year, Rocket Sanders scored 3 touchdowns and ran for 232 yards by himself against the Ole Miss defense. So I think that and the fact that Arkansas always plays Ole Miss tough, always. And I think the year before, when it was in Oxford, it was a 1-point final thing that came down to a 2-point conversion that Arkansas didn't convert at the end, which cost them the game. But, they're just such close games. So I think that, that's one thing Kiffin said. He actually said we got our butts kicked by them last year. So I think maybe that helped in knowing that, it's kind of like KJ Jefferson is still there. And we got to play him again. He's so big and strong, and so I do think that probably helps, knowing that they've got some key pieces. I think KJ is thrown for 1,050 yards this season, rushed for another 125. In fact, he has 14 more rushing attempts than Dart does, who is pretty heavily used in the Rebels ground game. So I do not think that they'll be overlooking this. LSU was big, but I think they know if they want to contend for the West, they've got to be focused.
Well, that's a really important thing, too, that you just mentioned as well. Because like you said, I mean, that's always the worry after a huge win like that against one of the teams that people pick to win the West in the SEC before the season. A lot of people pick them. So a down week is very scary in that regard, especially with Arkansas being, Arkansas coming in with all that fire too, 0-2 in the league to start the season. Right. So that's a very positive thing that you just mentioned, that they remember what happened last year and not willing to overlook it either. What do you make of Arkansas coming in at 0-2 though? Like you just mentioned, they won in last year. Do you think? I also want to mention that Ole Miss is favored by 11.5 points in this game, and I know that you're not always looking at spreads and stuff like that when you're doing your journalism, but do you think that some of that line setting has to do with how down Arkansas has been and what a great win Ole Miss had last year? Do you think this game, these two teams are closer than 11 points?
Yeah, I think they are, and I think that just because there's such a history between Ole Miss and Arkansas, and if you ask Ole Miss fans, if you were to tweet what are the 3 saddest words in all of sports, they would say 4th and 25. So remembering that game. So, I mean, I just think there's such a history of these two teams and playing so close. So I really it's kind of like almost playing the Egg Bowl. I kind of throw out the point spread there just because it's just a rivalry game. But I think it's interesting that Sam Pittman said this week he is kind of shuffling his offensive line around. And so that's going to be interesting to see how that goes. He's going to be, I think, having a new center and moving a left tackle, I believe, over. And he's also, they were really excited about their tight end, Luke Haas, who broke his collarbone, I believe, against A&M. So they won't have him. But it is interesting that he's going to be kind of shuffling things up a little bit because, frankly, they had against A&M, I think Jefferson was sacked 7 times. They gave up 15 tackles for loss and finished with just 42 total rushing yards, which it's awfully hard, I would think, to have Sanders and Jefferson held to that. So he shifted. It was the right tackle. I'm sorry. He put the right tackle, Patrick Kutas, to the starting center position. And so there could be some other moves as well. So this would be a really good game for the Ole Miss defensive line to get pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm curious, obviously here in Memphis, Caden Prescorn, who played for the Tigers last year, a lot of people here continue to keep tabs on him, and now back from injury, has played the last couple of games for Ole Miss. Well, what have you seen from him? What have you liked from him at tight end? And then with Michael Trigg now away from the team, what have you heard about that situation with Michael Trigg no longer with the Rebels?
Well, I tell you what, we really haven't heard any more about Trigg other than what Lane Kiffin told us last Wednesday, which is he is no longer with the program. So I think that's a done deal. Michael Trigg, I swear, Caden Prescorn has been such a phenomenal asset to Ole Miss. In fact, I think you'll see if you go back and watch the Trey Harris touchdown that he made, the final touchdown of the game for Ole Miss against LSU to give him the game-winning score. Caden Prescorn he blocks the heck out of an LSU guy on that play. And so in the game against LSU, there were his 3 catches were all on 3rd down. So I want to say it was like 3rd and 7, and then maybe 3rd and 10, and then a 3rd and 11, and he converted on all 3. Wow. And that's been one of the things Kiffin has talked about, is it's kind of hard to have your up-tempo game when your 3rd down conversion percentage was so bad. So having him back and healthy is it's just really making all the difference, because not only does he have those great hands and gave the Rebels a game kind of, across the middle of the field that they were lacking, but also his blocking is phenomenal. And Kiffin calls him, he says he is a NFL every down tight end.
Wow.
Evie Van Pelt here with us from The Rebel Walk, founder and publisher of The Rebel Walk. They do great work at therebelwalk.com. You can check it out on therebelwalk.com, on Twitter, all their different sites. Evie, I have one more football question, but I got to get to a basketball question first, because this is unbelievable here. It's the time of year where all our sports are converging, and we're going to have them all playing at the same time. I'm excited, and I'm assuming, of course they have, Ole Miss has started preseason practices at this point. So what can you tell us? What do you know about both either the men's and women's team? I know Coach Yo's doing a great job there too. What have you heard early indications from their training camp starting?
Well, I tell you what, it's fun to watch Chris Beard and Coach Yo coach their teams and how they interact with them. I heard actually from a former player who was at a recent practice of Chris Beard's. He said, Evie, his practices are next level. And he said they're not like anything I've been around before. So they're intense. He told us last week that he wants his players so competitive that he wants them to win the ping pong game before practice. He wants them, and that's just how you perform. And he's really now, I think, just, working on integrating all the players with each other and new players, and who's, getting comfortable, who's going to be a leader. But really and truly, his energy and his enthusiasm is just phenomenal. And of course, Coach Yo, that just goes without saying. She's just a dynamo, and she's got the girls in the gym practicing, and we've had the opportunity to watch them and talk to a few of them. And I tell you what, she's been telling me since the end of last season they're going to be better this season than they were last year, which everyone may recall they beat number one Stanford on their home court in the NCAA tournament. So I'm really, really looking forward to both men's and women's basketball.
Well, it's a fun season coming up here, too. I also have to say, Evie, I'm going to do a little bit of reporting here, in fact. I don't know if he still does this, but I know he did it when he was the coach at Texas Tech. Chris Beard, at the end of a lot of his practices, usually at the end of the week, he'll have two staff members, non-players, two staff members play one-on-one. He makes each player, manager, coach that's not playing pick a side, and if the person that you picked loses, you got to run sprints at the end of practice. And Coach Beard isn't above it. Whoever he picks, he'll run sprints with them too. It's a great thing. So keep your eye on for those practices as well. And my last football question for you, Evie, is this: do you know who's locking the vault this week, and why should it be Dexter McCluster again? Because they beat LSU last week.
Oh man, I don't know, but you know what? I would vote for Dexter McCluster any day of the week. Any day. Dexter and Cody Pruitt. Cody Pruitt, I gotta give a little shout out to Cody there. But I will tell you, I'm serious. I think I have a video out of that final series against LSU, and Dante Moncrief was killing it. He had everybody, like I said, he had me storming the field. So.
Those names take me back to the song Feed Moncrief back in the day.
Yeah.
Oh, man. That's great stuff. Evie Van Pelt joining us from The Rebel Walk. You can follow them on Twitter at The Rebel Walk. Follow her on Twitter at Ole Miss Evie. And go to therebelwalk.com. Truly, if you like Ole Miss athletics, everything nowadays is behind a paywall too, Evie. And you guys do great reporting and stuff like that. And you give it to the people for free. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you so much for your great work as well.
Thank y'all so much for having me.
Thanks, Evie.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11, here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Jenkins Floors and More in Hernando is growing. This family business started up 5 years ago with just one pallet, and now they have hundreds. Tim, the owner, gets calls from people everywhere and can sometimes save them up to 50% on wood flooring, carpet, tile, and vinyl. Jenkins Floors and More helps with renovations, home building, and installation. Jenkins Floors and More, number 6 East Commerce Street in Hernando. Also in Little Rock and coming soon to Tennessee. Call 662-469-9350 for more information.
O'Reilly.
O'Reilly Auto Parts' new Brake Best Select Pro brand raises the bar for the best aftermarket domestic brake pads and rotors available. For vehicle-specific friction formulations, Quiet-Tech noise-canceling shims, and stainless steel hardware, choose Brake Best Select Pro. Professional-grade brakes from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Pizza lovers and sports fanatics, Ferraro's Pizzeria is your Sunday ticket headquarters. Catch every pro game on multiple big screen TVs while enjoying $2 beers, $9 beer buckets, and mouth-watering pizza. We're talking the cheesiest, most delicious New York pizzas in town with all your favorite toppings. What are you waiting for? Grab your family and friends and get to Ferraro's, corner of Jackson and Main, just east of the Pyramid. Enjoy every pro game at Ferraro's Pizzeria and Cheesy Corner, your game day destination.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Billy, your gas light's on. We need to stop and fill up.
No way, Jen. Gas around here is too expensive. We can make it a little further.
Billy, listen to your big sister. You don't need to drive all over searching for the lowest gas prices. Do what I do and use Upside.
Upside?
Do you live under a rock, Billy? Upside is the hottest cashback app out there. It's free to download, and you get real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy. I use it all the time, and I've already made around $200.
You can make that kind of cash back just for buying the gas you have to buy anyway?
Yes, I'm looking at the Upside app now, and there's a gas station at the next exit offering 25 cents per gallon cash back.
Okay, I'm stopping to download Upside and fill up my tank. Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code FRIEND to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, to PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRIEND for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, October 21st, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We'll be taking applications and interviewing candidates on site. Salary starting at $54,611, increasing to $60,713 after probation. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
I know the sweetest thing in Memphis, and I know it's been around for 120 years. You know, I'm talking about Dinstall's, and it's time to stock up heavy on Cashew Crunch, Heavenly Crunch, Turtlettes, all of your favorite Dinstall's treats to watch the playoff games and to watch all the basketball. It's so easy to get. The sweetest thing in Memphis, all you have to do is head to Laurelwood or head to Germantown and Poplar right across from the hospital, or go where they make the candies. That's on Pleasant View. There's nothing that says Memphis better than Cashew Crunch with that little tinge of coconut, or the Turtlettes. Let's face it, there's nothing better than Dinstall's chocolate. That's the mainstay of all candies, isn't it? Milk chocolate, although their dark chocolate is pretty darn good. And if you get the peppermint with the dark chocolate and put it in the freezer, you're going to love it. So many ways to love Dinstall's. 115 years of making Memphis oh so sweet.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York. But many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Burgos' Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth.
Now, back to Sports 56 Happy Hour on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Tito's Vodka. Here once again, Johnny Radio.
How dare you? How dare you? should boo him. If you see him in the mall of Willowbrook, boo his ass. If you see him on the DMV, boo him.
This music is very happy to put underneath an irate Don Recca.
It works though.
Boo him! I'm getting better at my Don.
You are. I mean, the more you listen to it, the
But
better
that's
you
what the theorem says. What's going on with the line? The record should be towing out. That's what the Pythagorean theorem says. I'm like twitching while I do that.
You are.
You have to, because like he's like slurring his words while he does it too. An unhinged human being.
Oh, man.
For sure.
That's
Don
for
Recca. You know, he also does I think pre and post game shows for the New York Rangers when I listen to him on the radio.
Really?
Sure
wow.
does.
So you hear a lot of Don.
I hear a lot of Don. Bryant, we've got 30 more minutes in the show.
Wow. Flies by.
Time flies when you're having fun, doesn't
it?
And so I prepared more things today than we're going to have time for, but we'll be doing this again tomorrow and then next week too.
Mm-hmm.
We got to talk hockey. I wanted to talk about. We've got bets to do, but I thought this would be a good opportunity to do lists.
Ooh.
I love a good list.
I love a list.
And I've got a few different directions we can go here with this list.
Okay.
It's Friday. Usually this stuff, I like
Today's
this.
Thursday.
Oh, that's what I said. Thursday. You misheard.
My fault.
And so did all of you in your cars and radios as well. You misheard me. I definitely said Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
There's two lists that I have for today. And usually I like this. My first list, I usually like to scoop the AP poll because mine is better. My college football poll is better.
Of course.
It just is. I'm hyper-analyzing this stuff.
Watching all these games, real time.
And I'm not a biased idiot the way they are, where it's like, this team was number 3, so they lost this game. They can only move down like 1 or 2 spots. No, we start fresh every week.
I get
the best team's the best team. The ceiling is the ceiling. That's not what the ceiling is the roof. That's what Michael Jordan once said. So I've got my top 25 that has 30 teams. I also have my top. I'm sorry.
Your what?
I have my top 25 that has 30 teams.
Oh, okay.
What was confusing about that?
Wouldn't it be a top 30 then?
No. People don't make top 30s, Brian. They make top 25s.
Right. Okay, I'm sorry.
And mine has 30 teams. What are you not understanding about this?
I'll just have to listen to it.
And I also have my top 5 TV shows or movies that you need to watch in October. And there's like 20 there.
Then why is it a top 5?
Because people don't make top 20s, Bryant. They make top 5s.
Okay.
When it's something like that, it's a top 5.
I think you're off on your.
I mean, I'm not just going to sit here and list 20 movies. I'm going to do a top 5. I mean, it's ridiculous. But then there are 20 movies in my top 5.
But you're not going to list them all because it's.
No, I'm going to say them all.
Oh.
But I'm not going to list them all. You know?
I see.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe.
You understand?
I guess I'll just have to hear it to
So
understand.
which way do you want to start here?
Hey, look, you're the ones that put all this time and effort into these lists. Your call.
Well, it's hard to decide, man. I mean, like, what am I saying? I mean, you're making me choose. It's like having to choose a favorite kid. You know, it's usually the first one, isn't it? Or the last one. And all we can agree
Certainly
on.
not the middle one.
All we can agree on is if you have 3, the middle one is definitely the least
Definitely
favorite.
the least.
Well, I just can't pick, Brian. This is just too difficult to try and pick which one of these I'm going to do. Whoa! What is going on? Look, hello.
Hello.
I didn't even know what happened there.
Wow.
Well, I guess the powers that be chose for us, didn't
right.
they? So it sounds. You know what this music means, Bryant?
It means your top 25 list.
Wow. Why couldn't this be the movies and TV
I mean,
music?
You know, every list has its own music,
And you've heard this before and associated with my top 25.
Maybe
the
I just
real
made an
top
educated
25.
guess, you know.
And if you have any quarrels,
Hypothesis, as some would say.
if you have any quarrels with my top 25,
You're
remember
wrong.
the name of this show is Johnny Radio's Happy Hour. So please forward all complaints to John Harden. He takes all responsibility for anything you're unhappy with that I did today. I'm going to start at the bottom, Brian. I'm going to start at the top of the list. So let's start. And I'm going to go like 5, maybe 7 at a time in some cases. And I just want you to give your thoughts on those teams there. So starting at 30, we're going to go 30 to 25 here. You ready?
Yeah.
Or 26, I suppose. 30 to 26. Auburn.
What?
Fresno State.
Okay.
Wisconsin.
Badgers.
Tulane.
Oh.
And knocking on the door, Missouri. Bryant, what do you think about my 30 to 26?
May I ask you why Auburn is there?
Well,
because they played Georgia close.
They played Georgia really close, and they're trying to figure out a quarterback situation. I like Bob Ashford a lot.
Might be another reason why I would not have them in my top 30.
But isn't that more impressive? They're trying to figure out a quarterback situation, and they played Georgia close. Hugh Freeze just gets up for the big game, man. And so I feel like you have to respect a team that that can win any game at any given time. Tell you the game to watch after watching that Georgia game, the Iron Bowl. You believe me?
I believe you.
I mean, it's
rivalry.
You throw the records out for one thing too, but forget about how good or bad each team is in that case as well. Anything can happen in that game, and you know where they play the Iron Bowl this year?
At Auburn.
Jordan-Hare.
Wow, and you never know what's going to happen at Jordan-Hare.
We didn't even know what was going to happen with Georgia last week, so that's just another example of that. All right, any more thoughts on what about Tulane? You like Tulane at 27?
I mean, whatever.
A big game with the Tigers coming up.
Only lost one game, so maybe. I don't know.
Fresno State? I know you like small schools.
I like Fresno State. I think they're actually in that other wannabe top 25.
Terrible. The one that's biased and stupid. Yeah, no, I probably are. All right, let's go to 25 here. This is like 25. This is like it's like 10 in a row. I'll just list off 10 here. You ready?
Okay.
Kentucky, Louisville, and remember I'm going 25 and up here. So
Kentucky and Louisville back to back.
Kentucky, Louisville, Kansas State, Tennessee, Oregon State, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Utah, LSU, North Carolina. Your thoughts, Brian?
So you have LSU ahead of Ole Miss.
Oh, so just because a team beats another team, you want me to change all the rankings and put them ahead of them? That's not how rankings work, Brian. You know what I mean? If a team loses their first game of the year and lost to a team
it wasn't the first game of the year. It's the 5th game of the year.
No. If a team loses for the first time all year and they lose to it, I'm not saying, but if they lose to another, let's say in basketball, team is 18-0, and they lose their 19th game to a team that already has 7 losses, should that team be ranked ahead of them?
But Ole Miss doesn't have any losses. No, they have 1 loss.
They have 1 loss.
And now LSU has 1 loss, so they're even Steven.
Yeah. But
Ole Miss beat them.
And so that just means, what about the eye test? Doesn't the eye test mean anything to you? Huh? Does it?
Okay.
That's not an answer.
Okay.
Does the eye test mean anything to you?
It means a lot to me.
It clearly doesn't.
I have 2 of them.
So, but your eye test likes Ole
4
Miss.
of them when I'm wearing my glasses.
Your eye test seems to like Ole Miss more than it likes LSU.
No, I don't. I didn't say that. I mean,
you thought it was peculiar. You think that if teams are that close,
I think I've been so biased by the wannabe poll that it's just messing up my
that you can't
view.
approach it from a neutral standpoint and start fresh every week.
I think that's
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, LSU is one.
Also, I think you have Kentucky a little too low.
Really?
Not to jump out there. I mean, for goodness sake, they had a guy run for like 266 yards.
Florida stinks. Sorry.
So.
What do you mean, so?
280 yards!
Yeah, but I'm not ranking how good the running back is. We're looking at team rankings
Vanderbilt
here.
made, anchor down.
Is Kentucky better than Tennessee? Is Kentucky better than A&M?
Yeah.
Is Kentucky
No.
better than Ole Miss?
Maybe.
Is Kentucky better than LSU?
Maybe.
Well, so you don't know.
We'll see.
But you think Kentucky's too low, but those are teams that are like 1 spot away,
Better
2
than
spots
Louisville.
away. Really?
Oh, yeah. Flip those for sure.
Better than K-State? No,
yeah.
Louisville runs that state, brother. We're going to find out who runs that state later in the year, won't we?
Right, last game of the year.
Throw the records out. And
we'll also find out who's better between Kentucky and Tennessee.
The last one I named was UNC.
North Carolina?
Yeah.
They just got their best receiver eligible.
Wow.
So maybe.
But that doesn't affect my rankings here, though. You know?
No, I like North Carolina. I'll be honest, I haven't watched a ton of North Carolina this year.
Really?
Yeah, right.
Well, so North Carolina 16. So now we're into 15 and up.
Yeah,
15 and up. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do 4 here. You ready?
Okay. So 15 to 10.
4.
15 to 11.
15 to
11.
Try it one more time.
15 to 12.
Nailed it. 4 teams here. Here we go. Miami.
The U.
Clemson.
Huh.
Washington State.
Okay. I like Washington State.
And Oklahoma.
Oh, Oklahoma. I love Oklahoma. Big game for the Sooners this weekend.
Oklahoma, I want to be a wagon, but they just haven't showed me that they're a wagon yet.
I think they are a wagon. I have Oklahoma as one of my 8 teams that have shown they can win the national championship. Not shown they can get to the college football playoffs, have shown they can win the whole thing.
Really?
Oh yeah, I love this Oklahoma
Wait a second. Whoa!
Whoa!
Brian, new
Whoa!
music. You know what this new music
my
means?
goodness,
You know,
I don't.
You know what this indicates?
No.
Apparently, the powers that
Wow.
be have decided that we need to stop
Lord.
for a minute.
Wow.
I'm going to stop at Oklahoma. Remember, that's number 12. And I want to hear how many teams was it?
8.
I want to hear the 8 teams that could win the national championship.
No, wrong.
Oh, I'm
that
sorry.
Have shown they can win. Very big distinction.
Right, because you think more teams can win,
there are
but
some teams that could win it.
they haven't shown
Plenty of teams could win it.
it. Okay.
Only 8 have shown to my eyes that they can win the national
Do you
championship.
have reasons as to why, or do I have to provide the commentary like you were just doing for me? Because I don't know if I can provide the commentary as well as you did for me just listening to
Yeah,
you.
I'm sure I can find things for all these teams. I mean, they've proven it. They've shown it.
Okay.
So I've seen it.
Okay, let's go one by one, and then I want you to stop and provide some commentary. Go there, okay? Starting at the bottom.
In no order.
No
There's
order.
no order here. So
No
we're just
order.
running through these teams. I can't rank these teams. They've
No.
all shown they can win it.
I'm the ranker.
Only one team that wins it, so I can't rank these teams.
I'm the ranker around here.
Texas, Florida State. I'll just go through the first 4. Since it's 8, I'll break it up 4 and 4 for you. Texas, Florida State, Ohio State, Notre Dame.
Wow.
The Irish.
Georgia still leaves something to be desired? Oh, you might not be there yet. I'm sorry.
Who?
I'm sorry.
Who'd you say?
Georgia. No, I want to get
We'll
there.
have
I'm
to
not
wait
jumping the
and
gun.
see.
Not
I
jumping the
mean,
gun.
it's
Not jumping the
4.
gun.
I mean-
Notre Dame, I love. So you.
Sam Hartman.
So you don't even have to go to.
He's got a cannon on him.
You not only have solidified yourself, you can get out of going to church this week because you
sure
think Notre
can.
Dame is going to win. You don't have to go to church for the rest of football season
I mean-
because you now believe now until February when the national championship
I don't
is
think I
played.
even went to church on Sunday.
Yeah, so because you love Jesus clearly by your love of Notre Dame.
Touchdown Jesus.
Notre Dame's a good team.
They're a good team.
They're a competitive team, and I don't know if they can win a national championship, but they can compete for
They've
one.
shown it, though.
They've shown it.
shown it.
According to you, they've shown it. All
Very
right,
different between can and have shown.
next 4.
Penn State,
Really?
Oregon, Washington, and Oklahoma. That's your 8 teams that have shown it.
Washington, really?
Oh, yeah.
Michael Penix.
Whew.
I heard somebody, was it Dan Orlovsky saying, or no, maybe it was Robert Griffin III saying that Michael Penix, he thinks
Penix is unbelievable.
steps in as a rookie NFL QB right away.
I mean, he really could. Up until this last game, which I'm pretty sure he played the whole game because it was a closer game against Arizona. So, for the first 4 games of the season, Michael Penix did not play a complete game.
Really?
He was pulled in all 4 of those games because they were up by so much.
I was about to say because they're winning by too much.
I mean, it's incredible. And he's got receivers. Oh, I love this Washington offense.
Wow, I like that a lot.
So that's my 8 teams.
I really like that a lot.
Oklahoma, I don't care that they haven't played anybody. That offense with Dylan Gabriel has been unbelievable. And their defense, here's my test. Here's one of the eye tests. You give me Vegas, you give me a line, and if a team blows through that line, I mean, that's all I can ask for. Oklahoma has done that. Last week against Iowa State, 20-point line, beat them by like 35. I mean,
LSU also lost to Florida State. They had 2 losses.
yeah, they do. Oh, you're right. We were talking about that earlier.
And it doesn't matter. They're still ranked above Ole Miss.
I mean, Florida State, I mean,
good
you can make an argument Florida State's the best team in the country.
Who was Ole Miss playing the week they played Florida State? Tulane, right? And Tulane stinks.
No,
They played, and they played that other horrible team.
Mercer.
Yeah, please. LSU's playing Florida State. They're above.
That's an argument.
And you just said Florida State's one of your teams that can win the national championship.
Absolutely. I love Florida State.
That's all you need.
They've shown.
So
you keep saying could. I mean, that's not the list.
So they've
Jay
shown it.
Morgan.
I'm sorry.
They've
You're right.
shown.
You're right. So now, but you're providing.
Just ask respect for my list.
You're now providing me the reasons as to why LSU is ranked above Ole Miss.
I mean, yeah. What can I say?
Anyway, now we're at 11.
Okay.
Let's go. This is
I
11.
thought we were 12.
12. No, I said the 12th
said
team.
12, 11,
This is 11 through 6.
Yes.
Okay. 11 to
My
6.
counting's a little off today.
Notre Dame.
Ooh, I like
knocking
that.
on the door of the 10.
Sure are.
USC. Southern California.
I didn't have USC on my teams have shown.
Washington.
Oh, I love
above
Washington.
USC.
I
Same
like
conference
that.
too.
Conference of champions.
Alabama.
Oh.
Oregon. Penn State.
I love Penn State.
So,
I love
independent team, 3 Pac-12s, a Big Ten, and Alabama. What do you think?
I like it. I mean, those are look. Pac-12 has been head and shoulders the best conference in football this year.
Playing good ball over there, man.
And they've got quarterbacks all over the place. I mean, you talk about college football being a quarterback-driven sport right now. Pac-12, I mean, quarterbacks all over the place.
Gunslingers.
Yeah, literally.
It's starting to make you think if Caleb Williams is the first pick.
I mean,
does it?
I don't know.
I can't evaluate quarterbacks.
Caleb Williams is unbelievable.
I know how to evaluate Evan Neal, but I don't know how to
That's about
evaluate
it,
quarterbacks. I can stop at Evan Neal. All right, top 5.
Let's do it.
This is where it gets really exciting.
Okay.
Top 5 here, okay? Number 5.
Okay.
The Ohio State University.
OH.
Florida State at number 4. Feel free to offer commentary. You don't have to let me finish here. Florida State
Mike
4.
Norvell, what he's doing at Florida State, unbelievable.
Beat LSU.
Sure did. Beat Clemson.
Number 3, Michigan. So you got
Okay.
Michigan, Ohio State up there, both in the top 5. A lot of back and forth going on there in the Big Ten. And my top 2.
Okay. Top 2, I'm excited.
Ding, 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 ding. Well, you know what that noise means, Brian?
I don't.
It means that we have a new number
Whoa.
1. Number 2 is Georgia.
Oh.
When you outgain,
Good on you.
when you outgain a Lance Leopold football team by 400 yards and have the most impressive win of the college football season, it's time to solidify them as the number 1
back.
team in the country.
I mean, no question
it's
about
the
it.
University of Texas, the Longhorns. For my money, the best team in college football. And the only reason they aren't is because the cowards and the Associated Press are afraid to move Georgia down without a loss.
Yep.
Do
You're
it.
absolutely right.
They are not as impressive.
They're
They
not.
almost lost to Auburn, for goodness sakes. I can go back to last year, and they almost lost at Missouri. I mean, it's pathetic what Kirby Smart is doing. Please.
Take Brock Bowers off that team, might not even be a top 25
Bingo.
team. I mean,
Let me know about it. What? Argue with it. You haven't seen the team without Brock Bowers.
Man.
You don't know how they look without him. So Texas is my new number 1. What do you think?
I like it. Hook them. They're back.
And-
After all of the talk about Texas never going to be back, they're back.
And one of your teams that could win the national championship, right?
Shown, Jay Morgan. They have shown they can win the national championship.
Oh.
Could is a completely different list that I have not made.
We'll try and get all this straight back after this.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
We say all the time that above all else, Bell Tavern is Memphis' best little downtown bar. And we mean that. The food and service and atmosphere at Bell Tavern are all designed to make you feel at home. But above all else, you should know you're in a bar. And sometimes when you're in a bar, you might want something a little more special than the ice-cold beer that Bell Tavern offers. That's why there's the signature cocktails and the flights of spirits. Bourbon flights, whiskey flights, single malt scotch flights, agave flights, and even Japanese whiskey flights. All available at Bell Tavern, the bar that outbars all the other bars.
Spencer here with ATC Fitness. There's no better time of the year than now. Football and fitness go hand in hand in the fall. And with individual screens on each piece of cardio and multiple big screens throughout the rest of the club, you'll never miss a bit of the action watching your favorite team. ATC Fitness continues to be the Mid-South's choice for fitness, family-owned for 30 years, and proud supporters of Coach Silverfield and the Memphis Tigers. Join online at atcfitness.com. ATC Fitness, exercise your right to look good.
Pro football player Travis Kelce is pressed for time during the football season, so he does 2 things at once. Whether it's grilling while mowing,
2 things at once!
or getting this season's updated COVID-19 shot at the same visit as his flu shot.
2 things at once.
You can be like Travis and ask your pharmacist about getting this season's COVID-19 shot at the same visit as your flu shot, if you're due for both, as recommended by the CDC. Learn more and schedule at vaccines.gov. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Begin your exciting career in broadcasting today. Jobs in advertising, sales, promotion, news, business administration, engineering, and more are available throughout the state. Find out about career opportunities by visiting the Tennessee Broadcasters Virtual Job Fair at broadcastersvirtualjobfair.com. Get information about opportunities available in the broadcast industry as well as specific positions here at Flynn Broadcasting Corporation. Apply online now to begin the process of establishing a career in Tennessee's exciting broadcast industry. Minorities and women are strongly encouraged to visit. Brought to you by Flynn Broadcasting Corporation at www.broadcastersvirtualjobfair.com.
Join us for the Memphis Police Department Hiring Expo Saturday, October 21st, 2023 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 170 North Main Street downtown. We'll be taking applications and interviewing candidates on site. Salary starting at $54,611, increasing to $60,713 after probation. Benefits include a $15,000 sign-on bonus, up to $10,000 relocation assistance. For more information or details, visit joinmpd.com.
I'm with John Burgos from the world-famous Rendezvous in the Alley since 1948.
Brett, we have catered parties all over this country and all over the world, from Singapore, Australia to Central Park in New York, but many people don't realize how much we do locally. For holiday events, office parties, tailgating, birthday parties, you can't do better than the Rendezvous. For example, you can get a cheese and sausage tray for 15 to 300 people for $3.75 a person. You can even build your own nacho bar for $10.50 per person. All you need is a minimum of 15 people. In many cases, we can arrange delivery and full-service catering. We've even made it easy to get to-go items. You can just park at our front door in the alley, put on your flashes, and we'll get you going ASAP. For all your catering items and prices, go to hogsfly.com, click on menu, and drop down to catering.
Thank you, John. The Rendezvous, Mr. Charlie Virgos' Rendezvous in the alley since 1948 and celebrating its 75th year.
So you need to sell your house? I have the solution. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Any house, any area, as is. It's literally as simple as that. Just pick up your phone. Call 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses. Guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your house fast, call Bill at 901-406-1101. That's Bill at I Buy Houses.
Do you know one of the best things you can do for your employees or family's health? Provide Arctic Clear bottled water. Arctic Clear bottled water is your locally owned and operated bottled water provider. Arctic Clear is 100% natural spring water with free delivery and setup, dependable service, and no long-term contracts. What an easy choice. Call Jeff Manus today, 901-382-2363, or visit arctic-clear.com. Arctic Clear bottled water. Call now, 382-2363. That's 382-2363.
But you gotta be willing to take the hit and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that and that ain't you. You're better than that.
Now, back to Sports 56 Happy Hour on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by Tito's Vodka. Here once again, Johnny Radio.
How dare you? How dare you? You should boo him. If you see him in the mall of Willowbrook, boo his ass. If you see him on the DMV, boo him.
We are back, Bryant. And that means that it's the end for Don LaGreca probably for the day as well. Although if you really want to, you can listen to the Michael K Show today on the Yes Network if you're lucky enough to get that network.
What Don has to say today.
See what Don has to say. I don't think Michael K is there this week. I think he takes a little break once the MLB playoffs start here. Yeah. Even though the Yankees were not playing in that round, nor at all. But, you know, he just finished a long season doing Yankees broadcasts. I think
need a little time off.
Well-earned break, especially watching those games the last month or so of the season. For goodness sakes, what a terrible football team.
Don't look now.
That's not a football
Dallas
team.
Cut it to 10.
It's a baseball team. I said what a terrible football team.
Well, I mean, they're playing like it's football.
And they were talking about Don LaGreca. I mean, they were talking about Evan Neal, too.
Losing by football scores.
And you should also clarify who you mean by Dallas.
Oh, the Mavericks.
Yeah.
You also
said multiple times the Isaac Memphis Media Day. No, that's not what it was.
No, you said that. I didn't say
that. I
that.
said Grizzlies Media Day. You said Memphis Media Day.
Oh, boo freaking who?
No, it's a very big distinction.
Lord.
It's a huge distinction.
Well, everybody knows what we're talking. We're talking Grizzlies. Did I say Memphis Media Day? I mean, people know what I'm talking about.
That's really one of my pet peeves, honestly. It's a huge distinction because, like, Memphis refers to the university of or the city itself. You know what I mean? Whereas the Grizzlies is a specific entity.
Wow. 7-point game.
Wow. For who?
The Mavericks, but they're down.
That was a great opportunity to really to really drive in Dallas. Dallas is up.
We need them to win this game.
If I get this correct, Bryant, you bet on preseason basketball today?
Well, I woke up this morning and I saw one tweet that said that Kyrie, Luka, they were starting along with Derek Lively, their rookie from Duke. I got excited and I said, "This game's at 11. Yeah, I'll bet on it."
The way you inform your bets is wild.
Well, it's preseason. So,
Speaking of which, Rangers underdogs tonight in the Garden preseason against the Bruins.
Not they played last night, though, back-to-back.
Not telling you what to bet on, but might be a good one, right, Brian?
Who'd they play last night?
The Devils in New Jersey lost 5-2.
Did they play their guys, or did they play young guys?
They've kind of been split. They still have everyone's narrowed down at this point, but they're still playing a lot of guys, and there's a lot of Man, I mean, I don't want to talk about the Rangers the whole time. Nobody cares. But there's so much criticism about Alexis Lafreniere and these other young. People are mad.
Oh, I believe
you think they're mad at Evan Neal? They're coming after this kid in the preseason because he hasn't. They thought he was going to be a star in the league because he was drafted or he was developed by the organization, and there's these such high hopes.
My buddy's been down on Loft ever since his draft year. He was like, this guy's not that good.
Really? Yeah. Well, other people disagree, I suppose. But now I think they're catching up to what your buddy says. I guess. So. We only have like a minute and a half here, Brian. And I want to bet on games tonight. There's a home dog on a weeknight in college football, which is one of my favorite bets to make in college football. However, that team is Louisiana Tech,
and I love Western Kentucky.
Yeah, so
this team's electric.
And I don't know anything about college football, so I'll stay away from that if you don't like that at all. But I just, in general, principle.
I mean, that's one of our rules.
And we make those rules so we don't have to make our own decisions in that regard. There's a literal reason for it. The Commies are 6-point favorites against the Bears tonight. I can't lay 6 points on a short week. I mean, but I also can't lay. I also can't bet.
I mean, the Bears are cursed.
I also can't bet on the Bears either. And I think the Commanders are fairly decent.
They got a quarterback back there, and Sam Howell.
They really do. I was trying to find a way to make this game a teaser. Like I want to maybe tease it. I don't think you're supposed to do this. What's it? The Wong teaser. You know what that is? It's like a guy.
I'm very new to teasers. You introduced me to teasers.
So the Wong teaser, I just learned about this recently too. The Wong teaser is like you want to get the game within like the margin of scoring. So like if it's like. I don't know exactly what it is, but you're not supposed to tease games down to like 0, for instance. So like I've got Washington -6. I was thinking about teasing it, putting Washington on the money line with another game. Jaguars making them +12 on the road kind of sounds appealing.
No, Jaguars are home game in London.
That's what I meant, but in London. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the clock
home game
doing all
for
this
them.
too.
They're always. They're always there in London.
That's my bet. Talk to you tomorrow.
What do you get when you have a dream, a beer, and a business plan? Meddlesome